Welcome to another episode of the 100% podcast with me, your host, Harry Purdy. Today, I'm joined by a massive friend of the show. He is the creator of the Fat Loss Fast Lane. He is a gym owner and an online personality, Mr. Robb McGeary. Back for your 13th episode, mate.
It's 13th. Good Lord.
Yeah, I know. We were gonna try and fit it in on a Friday, Friday the 13th, and test the waters with fate in the world, but we've done it on a Thursday. But there we go.
You never know if the universal forces of the number 13 are going to play with us today. It wouldn't matter if it was Thursday or Friday, right?
True. We could have internet cutouts. We could have sound drops. We could have power cuts. Who knows? Let's see what happens.
I'm up for anything. I'm prepared.
So we've mixed things up recently with the episodes we've done. We did the 10 favorite things on the 10th episode. Last time you came on, you interviewed me about the ultra marathon, which was interesting. And today we come to you, the listeners, as the Mythbusters to begin with on the episode. So Rob and I have chose two subjects each within the health and fitness industry, because within the food industry, the diet industry, the health and fitness industry, it can be a bit of a minefield, mate, can't it? With people's opinions, what gets said. You've only got to see some of the biggest podcasts in the world coming out with different narratives about some celery has more calories in it and calorie deficit doesn't work and all this kind of nonsense to play with the consumers, which is, of course, what anybody is who engages in that market, right? And that's something that we want to just make a little bit easier for the general population when it comes to dieting. It's something we're quite passionate about as well, right?
Hugely. Then this is why, I hate to say it, but this is why obesity is winning. It is that every single year the numbers going up. So what's our industry doing wrong? One is arguing amongst itself, trying to be the person who's right. It's too contradictory, too conflicting, and we're forgetting the people who actually need the help aren't getting the help. Now, it's not just the fitness industry's fault. Environment, obviously, massive. The people you're hanging around with, the positions you find yourself in, the type of food you're consistently eating, everything, right? And people need to take full ownership of that fact before they start blaming the fitness industry. But we are part of the problem at the moment.
Yeah,
we must be, because the numbers are going up. And so we need to sort our shit and get the right message out there. And episodes like this hopefully will help with that.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's not a concern because the listener base that will listen to this episode and see the title will want to know what myths we've busted, right? And it may counteract some podcasts that have had millions of views and everybody with half a sense has looked at those clips of those podcasts and gone, and we've mentioned it before, and I'm not going to hide who it was. It was Stephen Bartlett with a couple of his guests, and he's come back on again recently, hasn't he? He's had him on again, and then funnily enough, later down the line, Stephen Bartlett's doing adverts for his products. So isn't that interesting? The podcast isn't for money, but hold on a minute, you're doing ads for the product that your guests are selling. So let's see. So, mate, I'll pass the floor over to you to introduce your first myth you want to bust today. What is it?
Wait, so knowing that one of mine is also one of yours, we've chosen the same one. That'll be good to say for a longer discussion towards the end, I reckon. So what I will say, this one is perpetuated a bit too much by the fitness industry and the mindset and the lifestyle industry, is 10,000 hours leads to mastery of a particular subject, right? Now, I have pushed that idea before. When I first heard it, oh my God, why is that so sexy? Why is that so catchy? Because it gives you a tangible number to reach something, to reach a huge, huge goal. Sure. 10,000 hours. I can sit down and do the maths, and by the time I've done that 10,000 hours, I can be a master of this thing. And the issue is there's no study showing that it takes 10,000 hours to master a particular subject or field, because the studies done actually showed something very, very, very differently. Now, there's multiple things involved in becoming a master of any particular subject. We'll just use the word subject, not necessarily meaning knowledge of subject, performance-based. physical attributes, whatever. We'll just keep using the word subject for each,
Yeah.
for some of these, right? But to be a master of that subject is, unfortunately, largely based on your genetics, for one. So I could train to be an elite basketball player for 10,000 hours. What's the chances of me, 5'9.5", white Robb McGeary, 41-year-old, being able to be an elite basketball player?
Get in there with the NBA.
Odds are stacked against me, right? Could I get better at basketball? Of course. Could I develop new skills, new hand-eye coordination skills? Of course. Would I be an elite basketball player? Hell no. And to argue against that is denying reality. And too many people are already doing that already. So what would I do? Like get triggered and open my own my own basketball league and call it something. So it turns out, have a guess, right? So I've looked deeply into this. There's multiple things dictating what gets you to mastery, which I'll cover in a second.
Yeah.
But the 10,000 hours, right? What do you reckon actually is the case? What do you reckon actually is the case? Actually is the number?
With the only thing I can relate this to kind of give me a little idea as to what potentially the number could be would be that in Atomic Habits, the book, he does reference 90 days of continually doing something means that you make it a habit, right? I'm not saying that's 90 days is the answer. I'm just kind of trying to use some kind of logic to put so that's 90 days where it becomes habit. Let's go double. So let's go to before a master. I don't know. I'm going to undersell this, I think. It's tough to answer. In fact, I can use the guitar as a good example for myself. This may go on a little bit of a tangent.
Perfect.
I've probably put in 100 hours. 100 hours, and I'm still fucking useless. So yeah, my guess would be 200 hours, 200 days, just to throw something out there.
So you could easily build a habit in that time, a habit, right? You could, whatever that habit is, whatever it's leading you towards, whether that is consistent guitar practice, whether that is learning the scales, the finger positions, whatever the hell, right? But in terms of the 10,000 hours, the people that actually become masters of something, they're likely doing that in about 25% of that time. So around about 2,500 hours,
yes,
right? That doesn't mean
a little way off, yeah.
But it could be your answer, because the people who are likely to be the masters of that subject. Now, bear in mind, one of these studies was done on master violin players, violinists. And this was done from the age of 14 to 24. And the people, and I could be butchering those numbers. This is something I've read a little while ago. I could be butchering those numbers, so I can double check on that. The people who were achieving mastery of that instrument were likely achieving it by the time they were 18 anyway, and their 10,000 hour mark was closer to where they were 24, but they were already mastering it way before that time. So how is that happening? One, genetics. You can inherit certain talents, you can inherit certain physical abilities, certain mental abilities as well. But it's not the issue with 10,000 hours is that's a quantity, right? It's not quality. So quality also dictates your path to mastery of any particular subject. This is why, and part of the reason I brought this into today when we're talking more about health and fitness things, this is something PTs put out there as a marketing thing as well. I've done my 10,000 hours on the gym floor. That means fuck all, because a large percentage of PTs I see on the gym floor are distracted, detached from their clients, playing on their phone, bored, couldn't actually give a fuck. That 10,000 hours doesn't impress me. And it doesn't mean mastery. There's no such thing as a master PT. So you would judge a PT based on their results, right? Based on their testimonials, based on what they've been able to achieve for their clients, not the amount of time that they've been a PT. We've been guilty of this with the gym. At first, we were putting out there, the two of us together, that's a combined 25 years experience. Who gives a fuck? I've had clients' results in Men's Health and Telegraph. much more impressive, right? Much more important and relative to what I can do for someone. So why would I ever talk about 10,000 hours? But again, it gives you that arbitrary. So it turns out it's an arbitrary number. It's a tangible number, but it's an arbitrary number. You can't expect to get to the end of your 10,000 hours and have mastered that thing. You need to have got 2,500 to 10,000 hours of consistent, regular, involved, focused, concentrated, consistent practice of that subject within the same biological and physical environment as well. Because otherwise, suddenly 1 hour is not equal to the other hour. Someone spending 10,000 hours learning the violin or learning the guitar, another person spending 10,000 hours learning the guitar, those two people aren't necessarily equal. Someone might have had the best environment to learn and get better at it every single time. Someone might have been hit and miss, but they still did 10,000. Their technique, their ability, their understanding of the instrument is not going to be as good as the person who had that consistent and more focused, direct work getting better at it. But also, the person who had that more focused, direct work is probably going to achieve it in half the time, if not a quarter of the time anyway. Because it's the quality, it's the focus, it's the consistency, right? But we also have to understand we're not meant to master everything. There are multiple clients out there I've experienced that I'm like, right, let's get them better at squatting. They're not going to get better at squatting. Okay, they can get better at squatting, but they're not going to master the squat in terms of full motion, full depth for their physical makeup. There's too many other factors at play. How their hip joint is fused, how the development of their lower back through their younger years. There's too much at stake to say everyone's going to be amazing at the squat. There's not. And even then, the quality of your nutrition, of your hours outside of the gym, all these things make up how good you're going to get at squatting in the gym. So you could never say 10,000 hours of squatting means you're going to master the squat. There's way too much at play to become a master. But, all is not lost. You can still get pretty damn good at anything you want to get good at if you put that consistent, habitual practice in where you limit all the other distractions and that's your only focus. And if you want to get better at something, then why wouldn't you do that? I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Now, we could link it to podcasting, right? We know, what is it, over 21 episodes of the top 10% of podcasts of all time?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. But let's say someone just has the consistency to get over 21 episodes. Doesn't mean they're going to be amazing. Doesn't mean they're going to be decent things to listen to. And the feedback you've had, we saw a text in our group just yesterday or the day before. You get some incredible guests in and you dive deep into incredible topics that are going to lead to insight for the listener if they are going to listen and actually listen. I could easily, I'm never going to, because I'm not going to start my own podcast. I could easily start a podcast where I just sit down and talk about my thoughts for that day. 20-minute podcast every single day for a year. Well, then I've got 365 episodes. But if I'm not really into it and I'm just doing it to tick the box of the numbers, it's going to be 365 episodes of shit that no one's going to want to listen to, right? Because it's not. Because again, I'm not going to do that anyway. But you would then get the sense that I can't be asked with this. I'm just doing it to tick a box. So there's no actual valuable information in there. It's not a decent podcast. No one's going to want to listen to it, and rightly so. You shouldn't listen to it. So like the number, the journey. What's the phrase? It's not the destination. It's the journey. Is so flipping relevant.
Yeah, I agree.
So relevant, right? And that 10,000 hours makes it look like the destination is the more important thing of 10,000 hours. And sadly, it's not the case.
Yeah, agreed. Because you see, I think if you are to put some sort of time frame in, again, to just use me as an example, there'd have been no point me continually releasing episodes as I was a year ago, right? Like just releasing the episode and then releasing a bodge clip every now and again, which like at the time I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I've got something new that I can share. But then now, obviously, having it done properly, the comparison to that would be me just like sort of bobbing my way through, continually releasing episodes, which is fine. But actually, the person that's going to improve that quality of the episode is me, by obviously with speech, thinking about how I talk, but also the quality of the content that I'm releasing. Now, I'm not saying that the quality of content I release is the best ever, because I don't have an unbelievable budget like some of the podcasters do in the world. But if you compare my first clip, where I literally used this, like if I look at my screen now, it's like this, and I just shared this, and that was it. No quotations, no emojis, like no back and forth between our cameras, and it just looked like you were watching Zoom pretty much. But now you watch it, it's a little bit more engaging. Sometimes put some music behind it, blah blah blah. That's like an extra kind of tick towards, well, he's obviously bought into what he's doing, right? So that kind of leads, the hours that I'm putting in mean that the improvement is gradually going along with it as well.
That's the difference, right? It's, you decided not to just do more episodes. You decided to invest in your podcast and your skills and your quality of guests as well. So it's quality, not quantity in that respect. Because again, like you said, like if you, I mean, I'll be brutally honest, I don't know your early episodes, right? Because we didn't know who each other's, who we were, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't have been listening to you back then. And this is not a slight on any guests that you had back then. But I imagine that you'd say your higher quality guests, in terms of what you got out of them, not who they are better now than they were back then.
Oh, for sure. And again, that's like you say, it's no disrespect to anybody I had on, because at that time I had a niche that I thought was what I wanted to do with the podcast, but it turned out it wasn't. I didn't want to speak about local sport. I wanted to speak about the mindset behind people and their own stories. And now, obviously, being labeled the 100% podcast, my mentality behind it is that I'm bringing people on who I think have offered 100% to life, whether that be people I really respect who are my friends, or whether it's coaches that I drop a message to who I admire online, or like acquaintances that I've met over the last year, and now I'm in an accountability group and all those kinds of things. And then of course going to the higher threshold of people like Dax Moy, who has definitely given 100% to life, and Paul Moore. Like, how is that not an improvement? You can't say it's not.
Exactly, man. Exactly. You got two of the industry OGs on your podcast. OG, and I mean that. Original gangsters. Like, not many people can say that. Not many people can say that. You're getting some modern coaches on, that's cool. You know, but man, yeah. If the quality of your podcast had not improved, you wouldn't have gotten them on there, because this is a sad thing with obviously a lot of guests. Some of them are pay to play, right? It doesn't get spoken about, but some are pay to play. I'll come on if you pay me, which is, but they're looking for, what do they get from it? There has to be something for them to get it. And if they're coming on and it's not a pay to play thing, and they're that high caliber, they obviously see what they're getting from coming on. So quality has to have improved over time, right?
Mate, yeah, I completely agree. What a start, by the way. I didn't expect that for some reason. That was a good one, good first myth to bust, and that genuinely covers it all, right? That covers from the fitness industry to mindset and it is a myth that actually does get spoke about, and sometimes it needs to be put to bed, because it's not the be all and end all, really.
Yeah.
My one, and it's very relevant to me in my early fat loss days, so this is a dieting myth, is that the quick fixes that are advertised to you on a daily basis, if you look in the wrong places, well, the myth is that they work. And all they are is, you may get original early results, but they're not there to last. And I'm referencing things such as, like, from my worst case scenario, Special K diet, to things like Slim Fast, Cambridge, and such like. The fact, I think, that things like Herbalife, Slimming World, Weight Watchers is still even a thing in 2023 is scary, because it really shouldn't be, if you ask me.
I think things like, be careful how I say this, things like Weight Watchers and Slimming World are great entry level points for people that just don't have a clue, that just don't understand, right? It can really, really help them lose those initial kilos. It gives them a sense of community because there are people going through the same thing that they've got. But the method is flawed. Turning things into points and sins that aren't necessarily related in a fully understandable way to the measurement that's going to feed energy balance is tricky, right? Now, the second biggest problem I have with those things is they then feed you processed products, and you look at ingredients and they're not phenomenal. And some of these things are really, really low protein, and Slimming World's traffic light system is massively flawed. But for a starter point, fantastic. But there should come a point where when you then hit the plateau in those programs, which you will, you have to move on to the next level. But the problem is, and again, our industry is just as guilty of this, it slags off those type of programs whilst then offering quick fixes as the alternative. You didn't lose any weight on Slimming World weight loss on Weight Watchers because you weren't taking the Juice Plus raspberry ketone multivit enema fuck, right? Same with the Herbalife. You stopped losing weight on Weight Watchers because you weren't congesting up your system with this shit that I'm getting a gold fucking watch for because I've got all my mates selling it as well. It's then that's the next hurdle, right? And as much as I want to help people skip all that bullshit and get a faster result and not have to spend money going through those mistakes, some people, that's what they need to go through. They have to go through those things before they really buy into, okay, actually, this is what worked up here. This is the better stuff. And there is, unfortunately, with the exception of certain medication, there is no quick fix. There is no quick fix to weight loss. It takes time. But time is subjective in that realm. Depending on the program you follow, with the amount of support you get from that, and the commitment you have to a particular method, then you can see a fast result. And you can see a mind-blowingly fast result, okay? But these quick fix things, it's water weight, it's you shitting out a load of crap, there's pretty much no nutrition in these things either, right? What like you mentioned a couple of names there that scare me that people have ever gone on. Have you had experience with people that have gone on like Cambridge diet and things like that?
Well, actually, what I've had recently is one of my own clients on a real good call that we had where we were just diving into a little bit of mindset and why some things were difficult and whatever. It turned out that her previous coach had, when she wasn't getting the weight loss results that they kind of agreed at the start of when they were working together, when they weren't happening, the coach wanted to put her on Herbalife. And I was like, yeah, but that's what you're saying right at the start, mate, regarding the industry as a whole. There's people in it that aren't in it for the benefit of people.
Yeah.
They're in it for if honestly, from my point of view, if they were a salesperson for Herbalife and a PT, they are, and I don't mean to sound horrible. Well, no, I do actually. You shouldn't be in the fucking job.
No. I taught the level 2 and level 3 personal trainer certification for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. And one guy came on, wanted to be a PT, gave it a whole spiel at the start, want to change lives, want to help as many people as I can. He was already a Herbalife rep. And I ended up kicking him off the course for multiple reasons. One, he was trying to get everyone buying it. And fuck off, bruv. It's not a commercial venture. It's a course for people to come and learn a PT. B, he was fucking terrible anyway, because he was already sold into that system of supplements and vitamins and micronutrients are what are going to help you lose weight, not macronutrient focus. He was already too far gone down the rabbit hole, right? I'm sure he's doing amazing, going to fucking Dubai once a year for their annual conference, whatever, where they hand out the watches and the certificates. Cool. Best of luck to you. I hope you aren't actually doing that well, because that means people are buying your product.
Exactly.
The quick fix is as soon as there's a product attached to it, a supplement, um, there's a giant red flag. Alarm bell should be going off for people because there is no product that's going to help anything. There's nothing that's going to raise your metabolism. I don't care if it's green tea pills. I don't care if it's raspberry ketones. I don't care. I don't care what you're coming at me with. In fact, anyone that is coming at you with that stuff, come fucking talk to us and we'll explain to you why that's bollocks. There is not one thing that's going to raise your metabolism. It does not fucking exist. So anything that's supplementary based, run a fucking mile. Now, just a quick caveat, that doesn't mean certain supplements aren't beneficial on your journey. But I can guarantee you they're not fucking branded. You know?
And if you want to know what supplements are beneficial to your journey, me and Rob have touched on it at least twice in the episodes we've done together. So make sure you scan back through and find the recommended supplements that we take for assistance with your health journey, not just weight loss journey. The other thing, going back to the quick fixes thing, and it is related to the whole like sales circle that they have going on with them, is I saw a post the other day actually that was, it may have been from Tibsy, related to Slimming World, and I'm just gonna go with, it was comparing air fryer chips to saying that it was like 5 sins or whatever the language they use is, to their packaged chips where it was no sins, and the actual macronutrients were pretty much the same. The only difference is that the no sins chips made by Slimming World were theirs, so the money's going to them, and the air fryer chips that they had a random photo of was obviously made at home, so it wasn't benefiting them in any way. So if the dieting methods are solely based on how much profit Slimming World are going to make at the end of your membership with them, which if you get in that trap of turning up and being weighed once a week and being made to feel bad if the scales haven't gone down, that could be a fucking circle you never break from. So if you're stuck in that shit circle and the shit circle of basically having to buy their branded foods to make you feel like you're not eating bad food, then wow, what a terrible, frightening circle you could be in for your diet.
I got a client years back. I was in Holland and Barrett getting goji berries because I fucking love goji berries. And there was an era where Holland and Barrett were the only place selling them near me. Just to go in Holland and Barrett, get my goji berries. Always have a look around the sports nutrition section because you never know. I might see something decent. But this is also the era before grenade bars were a thing. So there was no half decent. And I put emphasis on half decent protein bars. They didn't exist. I'm looking around, this poor girl's talking to a lady at the reception saying her raspberry ketones, I'm digging on raspberry ketones because that's always the thing. Her raspberry ketones, she wasn't really losing any weight. And the shop assistant, because Holland and Barrett shop assistants are trained in supplementary nutrition, and anyone who's not watching this on YouTube, I'm doing the old 2-finger bunny rabbit ears, emphasizing
bollocks.
Then okay, so let's just quickly flip the script a little bit. Someone comes to me and they're not losing weight. I'm going to look at multiple things. 1, how long have they been trying for? 2, let's look at a food diary. Let's look at the quality and the quantity of their food. Let's look at their activity level. Let's look at a ton of things. How are they sleeping? Where are their stress levels? A lot of stuff. This lady goes into Holland and Barrett, her raspberry ketones, she's not losing weight. Let's say there was efficacy to taking raspberry ketones. There's not. Let's say there was. How long has she been taking them? Would be my first question. Not asked. Is she taking the right dosage? Not asked. How's her diet alongside taking those ketones? Not asked. Instead, the shop assistant takes her straight away down the aisle and says, well, from what I know, you should take these with it as well. I never found out what this second thing was. Unless it was clenbuterol or ephedrine, it wasn't relevant, right? It wasn't going to fucking work. But whatever the fuck it was, I'm going there, fuck this shit. I can't believe I'm giving money to Holland and Barrett. Never went in there and bought anything again. And I waited for that young lady outside as well. And I said, look, I'm going to level with you. I'm a PT around a boot camp locally. If you really want to lose weight, come to me. This is not a hard sell. I would love to see you there. Here's my details. If you don't ever come to me, please stop taking raspberry ketones. Please stop taking whatever this other thing that she was about to sell you was. That is not the stuff that's going to lose you weight. Went on a bit of a conversation with her. A week later, she was at my boot camp. Happy fucking days. Never touch raspberry ketones or anything like that shit again. It's terrifying. The problem is, it's not just Holland and Barrett. It's online shops doing this. It's online coaches doing this as well. And there's big multi-million corporate brands like Weight Watchers and Slim World doing this as well. I don't know much about them because I don't see them anymore because they're not in my circle. But I would guess alongside their meals that Slim World and Weight Watchers are also offering some sort of product, some sort of supplement.
I think the final question I would ask somebody who comes to me and says that they want to lose said amount of weight in a short space of time, you have to ask the why question as well, which is, why do you want to do that? Is it because you want to feel more energetic? Well, okay, that's great. Let's skip the whole weight loss thing because that will come as a side effect of doing all the things that will give you better energy anyway. If it's more confidence, the same. Training with resistance, getting out and moving more, cutting out the shit in your diet that may be making you feel lethargic, hard to digest, and then improve your sleep, improve your hydration. If you did, and I've said this many times, even with episodes with you on it, if you did those 5 things for a month, 4 weeks, your energy and how your confidence felt after that 1 month, just as a baseline, would be unbelievable. And then second along that, I bet you the scales would have gone down as well.
By proxy, scales have probably followed alongside, you know. And that's the interesting thing, is when people switch their diet from the standard Western terrible junk filled diet and fill it with nutritious foods, they can actually eat more and still lose weight because they're feeding their body with things that are fueling more energy for more activity, that are actually, that cost more calories in terms of digesting and utilizing those foods as well. There's multiple reasons why. Your blood work gets better, everything starts improving, which is why you can lose weight whilst eating more. But depending how much weight you want to lose, eventually you then have to go back into the energy balance equation. You have to, if you don't want to lose. You're not going to consistently drop weight by eating more, even though it is amazing high quality food for an extended period of time. And this is some of the issues we see with the keto diet, especially. As people go, oh my God, I can eat as much steak and avocado and eggs and fat as I want. To begin with, yeah, of course you can, because you've been eating crisps and chocolate bars for 20 fucking years. So of course you're going to feel amazing on keto at first. You're going to lose a shit ton of weight on keto at first. No carbs. Oh my God, your body's going to drop so much fucking water and glycogen. It's scary. But then you're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a hurdle because, I don't know, 73 kilos, 40-year-old Susan is eating 4,000 calories a day. She's not going to fucking lose weight. She's not going to lose weight. So suddenly we have to go back into energy balance. We have to bring whatever way you want to measure that energy, calories being a very, very relevant and optimal way of doing so. Easy way of doing so, I should say. Then the weight loss that is going to be extended long term, you know? Yeah.
And I think whenever the weight loss subject is mentioned, when it's me and you, it's kind of like talking to the like we're preaching to the converted, aren't we? Because we know the answer, we know that it works, we've got the evidence that proves it personally, and obviously with clients that we've worked with. So if you was to summarize the whole quick fixes don't work in the long run, how would you summarize it?
There is such a thing as rapid weight loss that takes an aggressive approach that is not meant for a large percentage of the population. It won't work. You're not committed enough. You haven't got the history enough. You've not got the right support network. Maybe your hormones are already fucked and hunger and cravings are going to be too hard for you to actually stick to that. Not for most people, but those people that it's right for, it can work amazingly. Incredible results. I've seen them. I've got them myself. I don't use that approach with many people now because I'm not targeting those type of people with my marketing either. I'm looking for the people that want a bit more of a long-term lifestyle change rather than a faster transformation. So in terms of if you're looking for the quick fix, really sit down and ask yourself, where in your life have you shown that is the right way for you to do so? Where have you got results with a fast approach, an aggressive approach to anything that gave you a faster result in attaining that goal? If the answer is nowhere, aggressive approach ain't for you. Let's go middle of the road. Some people do fantastic on very, very slow weight loss. I feel PTs that exclusively do that are cheating their clients a little bit, because some people have the capacity to go faster. And if they have that capacity, why wouldn't you? But the quick fix means you're being sold a lie, right?
Boom. That's 2 myths busted. What's the third? What are we going in on?
The third one, should we do the one we kind of both came to the table with? And
yeah, go on then. So in typical Rob and Harry fashion, we want to myth bust starvation mode. Now, being the person with the longest history in the industry, mate, starvation mode, as far as I'm aware, is where people think, or people are told, that when you go into a calorie deficit, your body holds on to the weight because you're not eating enough. That's right?
There's starvation mode in a nutshell.
There you go.
You've lost X amount of weight or been dieting for X amount of time, that those processes just, your body goes into survival mode, which is another way of calling it survival mode, and stops that weight loss because it needs that energy for something, so you're not going to lose weight. So I believed it. I believed it for a very, very short period of time.
No way.
Very early.
Do you know what, mate? I take my hat off to you to admit that. Yeah.
Very, very early. Most of these rabbit holes I've been down and believe them until, as most good PTs and coaches should do, you continue your education and realize, well, most of this stuff isn't relevant or completely untrue. The starvation mode one, very early on in my career, someone explained it to me and said that, and it made sense. It made sense. Your body doesn't want to burn excess fuel. It doesn't want to lose everything, which is why weight loss is such a hard battle. Your body has a set point as well, or weight it wants to stick at. All that stuff's true. And then the starvation mode really is a selling point. But I don't know what they're selling, really, with whoever came up with it. And it's sadly, I don't want to get too dark, but I will get dark in a minute. But yeah, I believed it until I saw, well, it's not the fucking case at all. It's not the case.
What's interesting about it is that I'm quite a logical person. So without knowing the science behind calories in, calories out, energy balance, etc., the actual explanation of it could make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because from a brain perspective, our bodies are made to keep us safe and alive and warm and full. So the red flag for your brain, if you've not eaten enough calories, logically, it may, like, this is obviously in a different total fantasy world, may go, fucking hell, Harry's not eaten for 72 hours. Let's not burn any extra energy and keep all of this excess fat. But that's logical without the science. You bring science and biology into the equation, it's impossible.
On a biological level, what's happening when you are burning fat is complicated. It takes a greater understanding of metabolic pathways, hormones, all sorts of stuff. It's never just as simple as the calories. But the overall most important factor that comes to weight loss is your energy balance. It 100% is. But the biological pathway, very, very, very complicated, but fascinating if anyone wants to go read about it. And our good friend Simon is very, very good at explaining that stuff and has some videos on it as well. The issue with starvation mode, survival mode, whatever you want to call it.
Sounds like it could be 2 elements of a game, doesn't it?
What
option do you want to choose? Survival mode?
Survival
or
mode,
starvation mode.
right?
Yeah.
Survival mode, survival mode every time. Let's go. As a soundbite, it sounds right. It does, and it will appeal to a large percentage of people, and it kind of goes against that whole notion of this is why you shouldn't do stupid aggressive diets or worry about quick fixes and things like that. But when placed against the science, it doesn't add up. So the thing you could argue is that if starvation mode is your body goes into this survival mode and shuts your metabolism down so you don't start burning off this fat, there's a tiny bit of truth to that. But it's not starvation mode. It's what's known as metabolic adaptation. And it's something that happens when you are very lean and have been dieting for a very long time in that position. If you haven't, then it's not going to happen to you. Metabolic adaptation is where you're eating less food over a larger period of time. Therefore, you're going to have less energy to do physical things. So your activity goes down. If your activity's gone down, you're burning less calories. You're eating less food, so the thermic effect of burning food is going to be less. And after a longer period of time, where you might be on a less than optimal protein diet, or even a low carb diet, or even worse, a low fat diet, these adaptations are going to take place because your hormones need fuel. Your neurotransmitters need fuel. Your overall activity, your digestion, your brain activity, all needs fuel. And if you are in too deep of a deficit for too long, it becomes harder, which extends the time frame. It does not mean everything stops. And if you are looking to diet down to a very low body fat percentage and overcome those metabolic adaptations, this is where refeeds come in, strategic refeeds, planned properly, come in very, very handy. And that's how you overcome some of those. It's how you overcome most of those, really.
That is, sorry, mate, just to chuck a question towards you then, would explain why bodybuilders, even if they're in a cut mode, will still go out on a Friday or Saturday night to a burger restaurant and have 3 burgers that night because they're trying to balance out that thermal effect of their body.
Yeah. So there's a hormone called leptin, which is produced by your fat cells, and it signals to your brain whether your fat cells are empty or not, or whether your fat cells are full or not. And obviously bodybuilders one thing, elite athletes are one thing, general population's another thing as well. And everyone's going to have their own different approach that they will need. So it doesn't mean you just do what a bodybuilder's doing and go out and fix some burgers. And this is part of the issue as well. So the issue with dieting for a long time is then leptin goes down, and we need that signal. When you so the signal is sent to the brain that the fat cells are empty. Let's not burn anymore because we're running on low. It's not starvation mode. It's just a normal biological signal. You then go on a strategic refeed that's high on carbs and probably up towards maintenance of your calories. You're suddenly going to fill those cells. You're suddenly going to boost leptin, and therefore leptin saying to the brain, well, we need to start burning stuff again because there's food here. We need to utilize it, right? So therefore, you could say your metabolism is boosted. It's not. Your metabolism is not. It's not a thing, right? It's not a box or a bottle. It's multiple metabolic processes. So that's one way of doing it, the old strategic refeed. But what happens is people diet for a while, they get hunger, they get cravings, and then they binge. And therefore, when they're binging, the scale's not going to shift. But they don't think of the binges. They don't remember the binges. They're just thinking about their diet that they've been doing for a while. I must be in starvation mode because I haven't lost any weight. Did you track those 3 burgers that you had at the weekend? Did you track the 2 extra drinks that you said you weren't going to have? You had this flipping, I don't know, the pizza from your local takeaway, and you tracked the pizza as a ready-made thing in a box, actually 500 calories lower than what you actually ate. There's all these, and the biscuits that your office work gave to you, and the Mars bar that you forgot that you even had. All these things creep in that take you out of a calorie deficit where you're not losing weight, but all your focus is still on that deficit that you think you're in, because you are some of the time. And these binges are taking you out of it. You don't even realize. If all your focus is on the diet you think you're dieting, it's easy for someone to say, oh, you're in starvation mode. That's what you are.
Yeah, it's a really throwaway comment, isn't it, to just suggest that.
Mm.
Well, I get educated sometimes when we talk about this stuff from you anyway, mate, which is class. And another myth busted, by the way.
Mm. Yeah.
So, and I think it's really
I'll
this is
do, without trying to get you cancelled. Here's the thing that completely blows starvation mode out of the water. At the end of World War II, there were no obese Jews in concentration camps.
well, yeah, no, for sure.
Starvation mode does not exist. And that is the proof of it. And those guys were on very low quality and low quantity nutrition as well. So if starvation mode was a thing where your body goes, we're burning a bit too much here, we need to slow things down and stop you burning fat, then we would have seen that. And there's been studies on prisoners of war since then as well. Same thing is shown.
You've only got to look at the British soldiers kept as prisoner by the Japanese as well. They were skin and bone, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it you or me next? Who's going to go with the fourth one? Have you got another one that we can do? Or do you want? I've got one wrote down that I would like your opinion on. It's more of a whether it's a myth busting subject or not. I've got two things wrote down here. No foods are unhealthy in inverted commas, and there's no such thing as bad foods. I am almost, from a dieting perspective, a healthy, in inverted commas, dieting perspective. I agree with it. Whether it's a myth buster or not, I'm not sure. I agree with it on the premise of this. The reason I agree with it is that from the way I come at coaching, dieting, weight loss, health is a lifestyle change, not necessarily just a food change, right? And as you've quite rightly said, with relation to dieting bodybuilders or elite athletes, or even somebody on a really aggressive calorie deficit, cutting out things that you really enjoy can make that process very unenjoyable and very easy to say, fuck this. So if having a Domino's or a Chinese or a bar of chocolate in your weekly food cycle, which can be deemed as really horrendously high saturated fat foods, and from an elite athlete or an elite nutritionist point of view, or somebody with loads of experience in the dieting game will go, that is really not good for you. That's an unhealthy food. Is it though? If that means that individual can continue their health journey for a longer period of time. But
So, I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback, but I
good. I want this is good. This will make good conversation.
Wholeheartedly, I agree. I think to say to agree with there's no such thing as bad food is the best thing you can do for your relationship with food. Okay, there are foods you enjoy that are not necessarily optimal for your diet, depending on what type of diet you're going on. So if you do have that weekly Domino's or something else on top, obviously from a energy balance perspective, that could skew your result or the rate of your weight loss, because it's going to send the scale up the next day. It's going to, because of the excess food, the volume of food that you're having, the volume of water your body's going to store from the amount of carbs that are in that pizza. We'll just use pizza as an example. There's going to be digestive issues. There's going to be a little bit of inflammation. It's not great, right? Now, most of the population are doing that every single day. Disastrous. So in that respect, you could say people are eating bad foods every single day. But quality and quantity is very, very important here. So what do we do then? Maybe someone could get away with that, having that Domino's once a month. Someone can eat chicken every single day and have no issues. Someone can eat burgers every single day because it's minced beef, right? It's high protein, decent amount of fat, depending whether you're going high or low, the actual physical burger. The extra stuff that comes with it, okay, now we need to have a conversation. We need to look a little bit deeper. Because again, if that particular thing is slowing down, is wrecking your digestion a little bit, you're not too great afterwards, you're bloated after eating it, it makes sense to cut that for now. Doesn't mean you're never going to have it again. The conversation I would always have with someone at the start is, What does this result actually mean to you? How much do you want to achieve it? What are you willing to do to get to it? To give me an idea of, is this the person that needs to go low carb for longer and cut the junk out? Is this someone that we need to work some of their favorite foods into their diet a little bit more? Or is this someone that, okay, it's more based on activity and lifestyle change, and we're not even going to worry about those things until they become a bit more of an issue, right? Because again, not every single person we're going to train, not every single person we're coaching is worried about six-pack abs or anything like that. And I'm not saying that should be the attainable goal for everyone, but I would say getting yourself into a position where your hormones are optimized, where you haven't got excess stress on your joints, your knees, anything like that. Turns out for every 1 pound of fat that you lose off your body, you are losing 4 pounds of pressure on your knees. Insane, right?
Read that recently. May have been you that shared it, mate. To be fair,
I think I copied it off someone else's post that I shared. And two of my clients messaged me going, "Oh my god, that means like 260 pounds less pressure on my necks." I'm like, do you know what, Paul? One of my clients messaged me that. I think he said 260. And funny enough, he used to run 5Ks, 10Ks, a couple of half marathons as an obese individual, as a 125 kilo individual. Then he stopped running for a while. And then we did this weight loss diet and we got him trained in the gym, and he didn't really touch cardio or anything like that. He got to below 100 kilos. And we noticed he really wanted to run again. That was part of his goal. He started running and he was beating his previous times with no training because there's less weight, because there's no pressure on it. One of the big things when I worked for Ultimate Performance, their bread and butter, rapid, incredible transformations. And sometimes you'd have a client in front of you that weren't too keen about the weight loss, which is a bit weird going to UP for a consultation, when that's what they're known for. But you'd find out they were competitive with cycling or something like that. And then suddenly you go, well, if you lose weight, you're going to be faster on your bike. So this makes sense. We train you to be more athletic, to be stronger, to be faster, but we focus on weight loss as well, because that's going to get you faster. That you're going to see faster results faster because you're doing two things, right? So it's definitely great for making sure you don't build up a bad relationship with food, because a certain percentage of the population, a small percentage of the population, are going to create a negative relationship with food by calorie counting, because they're then going to start seeing food as a number rather than nutrition, rather than fuel. And that can be detrimental as well. But that's a smaller part of the percentage of the population than most people will say you shouldn't count calories at all. So there are, unfortunately, some foods that will lead to issues with digestion and bloating and inflammation. There are inflammatory foods out there on the market that you can buy. But really, it comes down to dosage, right? Poison's in the dose, rather than these guys that are standing in supermarkets in front of the olive oils going, this is toxic, you shouldn't have any of this. And what a ridiculous fucking statement to make. But yet certain parts of the supermarket, to be fair, if someone's standing in the supermarket, I'm not watching that video because it's going to be bollocks. But there are certain areas of the supermarket where you're like, that's the stuff you shouldn't be eating as often because it's low in quality. And there are such things as anti-nutrients. And some of these anti-nutrients are put into food not because the Illuminati wants to kill you, that's a topic for another day, but because it's something that either preserves the length of the food or stops it breaking down or stops it molding quicker or things like that. And again, the dose, the poison's in the dose. If you're eating those things every day, then yeah, there's a chance it could lead to some damage. If you're eating something once in a while, you're probably going to be okay. But if that then ties into the energy balance equation and you're not losing the weight you want to lose, and you're seeing the scale go up every Monday when you've had a great Monday to Friday, that's something to address then, right?
100%, mate. I completely agree. And I think that this is why I didn't say it was necessarily a myth, but there's definitely a fair discussion to have about the statement of no foods are unhealthy, right? Because I watched one of the industry's best at breaking down complicated subjects yesterday or today, Ben Carpenter, and he was talking about how much fat and oil were in a packet of like share bag crisps, and it's not great, of course, and the experts the experts do say that if we're to label any food as unhealthy and any food as almost like a red flag, it would be those deep fried, covered in oil foods that you would maybe put in that category.
Yeah, there should be no fear mongering when it comes to food, zero. But trans fats, your body doesn't want to deal with those. Your body doesn't know how to deal with those.
And like, if I'm gonna be really overly open on this pod, it's why if I eat a McDonald's, mate, that McDonald's ain't staying in my body for long. It goes out. My stomach ain't happy. Yeah. And that's for that reason, isn't it?
It's exactly that. Exactly that. There's no, like, your body breaks it down. There's no nutrition there for it to actually break down. So we'll just keep pushing that through. Let the lower intestine deal with that. And then before you know it, Jesus Christ, 20 minutes later.
Yeah. It's done. It's finished. Yeah. What's your thoughts on the phrase empty calories then, just on a separate conversation? Is there such thing as an empty calorie? If we're to, like, because McDonald's, like you say, I guess there'd be a little bit of protein that your body would take from the burger. Like
it's a beef burger. You can argue the quality of that beef. You can also argue the quality of what they pump that beef with, but it turns out whatever they pumped it with, you're not absorbing as much as the fearmongers like to make you believe. It's not happening. So the biggest issue I'd have with McDonald's is obviously the heating of that oil for long periods of time that they're then frying those chips in. That's the trans fat. That's bad. What would be better? Going into McDonald's, ordering the chips because you love them, because McDonald's fries are awesome. So fucking tasty. Small or large? But you got the medium in the middle. Depending what your goal is, depending where you're currently sitting, obviously it would be better to order the small because you're going to get less of those trans fats. But depending where you are, physique-wise, activity-wise, where you are on your diet, calorie, what other nutrition you've had that week, you might get away with the medium. A smaller percentage of people will get away with a large, right? But you've also got to look at yourself with a heavy dose of salt. You're gonna soak up a lot of water with those carbs, a lot of water, right? So you can then look at the burgers, right? Okay, the bun was just a bun. They're tiny, right? McDonald's buns are absolutely tiny. The sauce is sauce. The salad in between is salad. Doesn't fucking matter, right? The actual burger itself, kind of small compared to what you would get at Five Guys or Honest Burger or any of these other burger places that people are just as quick to rush to, but shit on McDonald's at the same time. I would argue that those places, okay, you might be getting slightly better quality beef, not amazing quality beef, not as amazing as you could make yourself, but you're probably eating way more calories than you're getting at flipping McDonald's as well. The easy thing to do with McDonald's is the upsells, right? So easy for me to get my chips and then get mozzarella dippers on the side as well.
Yeah, or McFlurry, yeah.
McFlurry finish, and then suddenly, boom, calories are through the roof and nutrition super, super low. Yeah. You'll never say no such thing as an empty calorie, but there's sources of food that you don't want in your body on a regular basis. It's just going to create nightmares, right?
Mate, I think this has been fucking so good. Let's
keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep busting shit.
Yeah. Well, I've just get like we've banged an hour out, and Rob and I were gonna we were gonna do a subject of. Oh, should we keep it a secret, or should we let the listeners know what they're going to be expecting next time you come on the show?
You know what? Put it out there, unless push questions from people.
Yeah. Okay. Subject line. So we want more myths to bust. Number one. So if you are listening to this episode and you have really enjoyed Rob and I, Rob being the expert and me coming with some small knowledge bombs here and there, just offering an opinion.
The guy that reads too much and doesn't know when to shut up.
If you want more knowledge bombs and more myths busted, then please let us know. Drop me or Rob a message on Instagram. I'm Harry Purdy Official. Rob is at Fat Loss Fast Lane. So do that. And then secondly, next time we come on as a duo, the fantastic duo, we are going to go in on things that we consider to be unhealthy on the mainstream population or on just human beings in general that don't get spoke about enough. So if you have your own one that you want to send in to us, that would be really fucking useful, because it will make for a really good episode, and we can discuss yours live on the show, which would be really interesting for us to see what people send in, right, mate?
100%. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
So we'll push that. We'll make sure we get some messages out on socials, find out what your opinions are, and we can't wait to talk about that, mate. They know your Fat Loss Fast Lane, but where else can people come and find you online?
The 2 places I would find me now: Fat Loss Fast Lane. But if you do venture into Richmond, or
the posh part of London,
poshest part of London, or you want to find us online, then Performance House LDN, which is how the cool kids are saying in London nowadays. Performance House LDN on the social media platforms is where you'll find us.
Sick. Mate, honestly, that was just a great episode to go in on. We've not done a proper health and fitness one and nutrition one for a while. So actually touching on a few of those subjects was a nice refresher for me as well. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and drop a 5-star review. It does go a long, long way to helping the show. If you are watching on YouTube, hello, make sure you click the like and subscribe button down below here somewhere or another. And that also really helps me out hugely. Just to drop into conversation before I end the show, the 14-day free 100% journal is completely available for you to go and use now. This is the creator of my 100% life, the way that I generate my energy, the way that I get up in the morning and feel really good. And also, it genuinely has helped me to lose however fucking much weight it is now, get as strong as I am, and complete an ultra marathon, and leave me feeling good at the other end of it as well. So if that's something that's you are interested in, you want to upgrade your life, you want to feel better, you want more energy, download that from my Instagram bio for free now. I'll catch you with a new episode every Friday. Take care.